Morning, guys. Mark Ferrasci, Protect Dog Training. On the road Saturday morning, going down to our police scenario group. Now, one of the big things I'm always talking about is using environment and getting a good feel for environmental and how important that is to your training programs, right? And then being aware of and having the knowledge in regards to manipulating that environment to what you need. So what do I mean by that? Well, I know that I need heavy foot traffic, but I don't need heavy foot traffic to start. I want to start with a little less traffic in the beginning. So on a weekday, a certain day of the week might be a better day to go down to Tractor Supply when there's less people in the store, to be able to acclimate a fearful dog like Rain, as an example, right? So you start out slow. And then as you build, you start to put a little bit more on the dog. And a lot of what you see me doing, like I was out yesterday with Rain at Costco. It's one of the few places that I can still rely on a large group of people in kind of saturation with heavy foot traffic at the door, right at the door, right? So you saw me working Rain yesterday in that kind of an environment. And what I was doing and what I do is I'm probing, okay? So if that would have blown her out of the water and she would have been too much for her, I would have stayed a little bit farther outside the outskirts of that funnel that you've got right at the door, and I would have got out of there a lot quicker. I would have been short and sweet. But you don't know until you start to kind of probe, right? Doesn't mean you throw the dog into the deep end every time, right? You do things nice and slow and methodical, and you build. And expecting a little bit more and putting a little bit more on the dog as you go along. So the dog sees those pictures and starts to learn to accept that stressor, right? Because it is a stressor for a dog that's not used to it, right? So yesterday at Costco was Rain's first time with that kind of a heavy, and it was exactly what I needed. Rain kind of went, oh, this is what I gave her little spots that could make her more comfortable. One of those was those columns that she was jumping up on, that little shelf that she had that puts that column up behind her back, and she can watch all the people and be in a safe area, right? So a lot of it's kind of being creative and then kind of getting a good feel for what can I do with this dog to make them feel more comfortable and not blow her out of the water, right? So today I'm going down to this class, but I've got two dogs that I've got with me that I need to put some work on with saturation of dogs, which is Rain and Buddha, right? And so I need to stay on the outskirts and the outside edges of this class environment. So I'm going down early so that I can end up getting there before class and then seeing how Buddha acts, right? Or getting there before class and staying on the very outside edges of things so that I can make sure that I've got the right environment for the dog, right? So it's important that I think these things through a little bit, right? So I'm going down early because of that. They've got a full agility course that is exactly like mine, because I copied that agility course I've got at my house from them, and with their experience of law enforcement and everything, they built a really nice agility course, and I just copied it. I went down and looked at that and took a bunch of pictures, got together with a framer, a contractor that was good with wood, and he built me the same thing at my place, Why reinvent the wheel, right? It's an excellent course, so that I put it up at my place. It fills the function, right? So it's about understanding about environment, thinking things through. When is it going to be busy? Is this going to be too much for the dog? Am I going to be able to use that environment to the best of my ability? And then you've heard me talk about this subject before, how important your environment is as far as building relationships and getting to the point where these people accept you in their store. Because remember, Tractor Supply is theirs. If I do the wrong thing, if I'm rude, if I'm not nice, if I overextend my welcome, I'm there every day and I'm right in their face, I'm going to become an irritant. I've got to learn to respect and appreciate what they've got to do in their job. They've got product to put away. They've got things to do in their job. I can't be bugging them all that much. I've got to respect the fact they've got customers to take care of. I spend my money down there, sure, but I'm not doing it all the time. A lot of times I'm just taking advantage of their environment, right? So it's all about building your environment around you, the places that you take your dog, and building those relationships. I get a lot of business through Tractor Supply. I put my business cards up on their little area on their walls, so I've got some of my cards. I impress them enough that they, when somebody comes in with a dog is not minding or something, they think of me right away and they hand out my cards. Do I expect them to do that? No, but it's nice and it's kind of them to do that. And this is how you build your business, right? It's important. So your relationships are very important in your environment. Using those to your best ability in your community is important, right? So that's what I'm yakking about today. I'm going to go see what happens with Buddha and with Rain at this class that's got 40, 50 dogs in the class, right? So I've got a good saturation of animals. But keep in mind that I have to pick the time to do this, and I have to be careful and wary that it's not overwhelming to the dog and it doesn't blow them out of the water, because if it's on the other side and it's just too much, you're trying to force a round hole through a square peg, or square hole through a round peg, whatever you want to say, it's not conducive to the dog learning and growing, right? It's all about growing the dog in strength, mentally, physically. With Buddha, it's going to be about keeping him under threshold and making sure it doesn't get stupid, right? So we're going to find out what happens, and this is where the rubber meets the road. In other words, this is where real skill comes in. Being able to really check out your environment. Don't make the mistake that might be a negative where you've got to fix problems because you've caused a problem because you go out and do it, right? So it's all things you got to think through. So just some things to think about if you ever get out there and start to try to use environment. It's something that takes practice. You have to respect the fact that not everybody likes dogs. You don't need to be so blatant and in their face that you ruin your ambassadorship, right? You're an ambassador when you're out there. You're the ambassador of goodwill of dogs, because not everybody likes dogs. I get dirty looks all the time. I get some crotchety people that really kind of look at me and feel in their heart that I shouldn't be in these environments, right? And I have to respect that. Not everybody likes dogs, you know what I mean? They have a right to be out there too, and they have a right to not have you in their environment. So there's kind of a fine edge in there, right? I'm gonna be in their face just enough to be able to get through it and try to be kind and try to be an ambassador in what I do. Okay, and I've had times where it hasn't worked out all that good. I got a good story. I'll go ahead and yak a little bit longer. Where a guy was at my Home Depot when I lived at Lake Elsinore, and I'd been there for 5-6 years, however long I'd been there, and built up a lot of my relationships, and I was always in Home Depot. They loved me. The girls were always really praising me and lauding me, and I had the whole crew really kind of just really helping me, right? And then there was one guy showed up, and he started stalking me around the store with a negative attitude and just, you shouldn't be, and I mean just really going ballistic about this attitude that I shouldn't be in this environment, right? This is one man out of thousands of people that I've dealt with, and it was just really unusual. Well, it turned out the guy had a fear and aversion because he had been bit by a dog. And I understood where he was coming from to a certain degree, but I mean, he would stalk me. He would wait and see my truck, and he knew I'd be going in the parking lot. He'd come in and be right there and just be just a jerk. And it was all I could do to try to get him off my back. And I ended up getting pretty aggressive with him, coming at him pretty strong. But that was only one in thousands, okay? So it doesn't happen that often. But remember, you're an ambassador, and you need to carry yourself in just a way that denotes the ambassadorship and shows respect for those people that may not like you in their environment or in that environment. They don't feel the same way you do. They have right? They have a negative attitude. This is part of our world, and you have to learn and respect that not everybody likes dogs. Some people feel an opposite than you do, right? Me, I think I should be out there because I need to do a job. I need to make my dogs a productive part of society. But not everybody feels that way. They don't understand that if we don't have those environments, we can't get the dog to be stable and be a very good ambassador and show people what this is all about, right? So it's important that you respect society as a whole and realize that not everybody feels the same way you do, right? So I'm going to let you go. Ferrasci Protect Dog Training, on my way to train dogs today again. As always, 7 days a week. Never stops. No days off. You don't really get holidays. You're always pooping, scooping, doing something. So I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.